We're on live?
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Schilling from Secoya Health bringing this week's Wednesday Wellness Minutes. And this week we're going to talk about vaping, e-cigarettes, e-cigs, the vaping, whatever you want to call it. Before we get to that, I'm prompted to remind you of our Participant Appreciation Week next week, the 16th through the 20th of September. And as Vanna White would probably do, all these lovely prizes here that Anissa has so diligently put together. We have immune baskets and kids baskets and general nutrition baskets and keto baskets and cuts and scrapes and hot logic baskets and alkaline balance baskets. And it's all good because we want to give away all the kinds of stuff to help you feel your best and basically to give back to all our participants who support us and carry on the mission of Secoya Health and help other people help themselves and end needless suffering. So that is next week. We'll have the event on Friday the 20th. It's from 1 to 6 p.m. We'll have food and other practitioners, if you will, from the area with things that are complementary to what we do. And we want to expose you folks to what they do because they're biological dentists or people with water or whatever we have coming. It just depends on who's willing to show up and wants to be part of the action. So that's going to be our plan. We're doing a little fireside chat tonight. For some reason, it just seems appropriate with all this lovely stuff in the background. And when in doubt, just proceed as if success is inevitable. That's my reminder every day. So vaping, this is pretty serious stuff. Everybody thinks that e-cigs, they're fine, they're safe, they're even promoted as a healthy alternative to smoking. The challenge is they are toxic. Not only is cigarette smoke filled with thousands of toxins and things like that, but you also have e-cigs now. It's actually a chemical produced in a laboratory and then put in a popular brand's called a Juul. I'm sure there are others. But basically, you as you draw air into your mouth, it triggers the mechanism in this thing to put out a vapor, right? It heats it up and vapes into your mouth, and you inhale it, and it goes into your lungs. These are now the greatest way for cigarette companies to lure people into it because once they get you addicted to the nicotine and get you high on it, then it's a gateway drug into cigarettes. And they're also really good for getting kids because a lot of teens are doing this because, hey, it's tobacco-free. It's not nicotine-free. One of the most, what we call a damning statistic about these things is one Juul, one little packet, has about 20 packs of cigarettes nicotine level. So just take that for a second, let it wash over you. The amount of nicotine in 20 packs of cigarettes is in one thing of a Juul. Okay? Now, why is that a problem? Well, because most people aren't paying attention to, I suck down one cigarette and now I put that out and I go away, right? They can puff on these things for hours and not even realize just how much they've consumed. And that's pretty bad because these things are no less dangerous other than they're not smoke. They're no less dangerous for your lungs. There's just as many people developing COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorders, inflammation of the lungs, bacterial infections and things like that. On average, about 9 million adults in the U.S., and that's probably an outdated statistic at this point given the popularity as of late. 9 million American adults are using it, and the problem is it's only increasing because they're putting all these kind of fun flavors and things like that. So it's really not healthy for you. But it's going to increase your risk for heart attack and stroke because what it does is it decreases your body's ability to use nitric oxide. And if you don't know anything about NO, nitric oxide, it actually dilates your blood vessels. So when your blood vessels can't dilate, it can't carry the oxygen nutrients to your brain, and you can have infarcts or death of the tissue in the brain and heart tissues and stuff like that. Hit the microphone. But yeah, definitely they're promoting addictive behaviors because the nicotine is an addictive substance, right? And as a result, it can cause you to become addicted. It actually will increase your propensity or your potential for drinking alcohol. That has that effect on you because it's leading to other addictive behaviors. But as we talked about, they're marketed as safe, and if you read anything about these things, there's nothing safe about them. Some of the other important things to talk about, the company who owns Marlboro now, I think, purchased controlling stake in one of the biggest e-cig companies on the planet, and so they're just getting their hands in there. And they're basically, it's their new way to get people. If you're not familiar with how the big tobacco companies, what happened was they were not allowed to advertise anymore. So what they did is they started buying food companies, and they started using the same tactics they were using to lure kids into eating their food. So they're using the same tactics that they're luring kids into buying their cigarettes, now they're using it in food. So they're selling you the same garbage in a different form. It's not a cigarette now, it's now actually junk food. But it's a science. It's everything down to the crackliness of the paper, even if the jewel, it's like how you hold it, the weighting, the feel, and everything of it. So it's all scientifically designed to get you more addicted than ever. So when in doubt, the only thing you should breathe is air. That's really the best thing to even think about. But if you know anything about your airway, your lungs are basically where you exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen. So when you breathe air in, you're taking in oxygen and other things, because air is only about 20% oxygen, and then you're dumping off the carbon dioxide. So it's a way of your body getting rid of toxins and pulling in oxygen. Inside there, it's a mucus layer. Okay, there are a lot of things called macrophages that protect you from things. When you inhale things like cigarette smoke, marijuana smoke, e-cig, vapor, things like that, you're actually rendering these natural parts of your body almost useless. They're just killing them off. They become these stupid. They're kind of like drugged, in essence. They start flopping around. They can't do what they need to do. So macrophages are going to balance your body against viruses and bacteria. And if they are not functioning properly because they're under the influence of toxic chemicals, then they're not going to protect you. And people are getting rushed into hospitals, not just because of lung infections, but they're inhaling shards of glass through these stupid things. I mean, there's just nothing good about them. So don't be fooled. What's interesting, as a researcher in this, the FDA actually banned these things in 2009, and then they reversed their course in 2011. And ever since then, it's been, the wheels on the bus have been going round and round, faster and faster. So reasons for people that they claim they use e-cigs. It's safe. It's completely safe. It's safer than a cigarette, right? That's not the case. They also use it, they're doing smoking cessation, which means, well, I'm trying to quit cigarette smoking, so I'm going to use a Juul or some other e-cig to help me get there. The problem is they're just as addictive, and they're giving you just as much nicotine, if not more, depending on how much you're using it as a result. And so it's just not a good idea. Just stay away from it. Also, I mean, we have friends who vape in the house of other friends, and I'm seeing kids playing around this, and this stuff is just as bad as secondhand vapor as cigarette smoke, as far as the toxic chemicals, which we'll get to in a minute. But they say, well, my vaping's not bothering anybody else, but the amount of secondhand nicotine is just as damaging to your lungs as the cigarette smoke. So as we mentioned, it's going to increase the use of alcohol. Like most things, Facebook included, when you get the likes and stuff like that, that's hitting the pleasure center of your brain. Some people talk about serotonin, some people talk about dopamine, but it's stimulating the pleasure center of your brain. So a Juul or an e-cig of any sort is going to stimulate that and cause your pleasure centers to be activated and cause you to then want more, which can totally skew your brain and how it functions over the long term. So it's leading you down a road that's not going to be helpful. The FDA lists several carcinogens on their website, known carcinogens that are known in cigarettes, but they're also found in Juuls or e-cigs. Three are acetaldehyde, formaldehyde, and then there's diethyl glycol. And California has actually categorized or classified, and if you know anything about California, they are way over on the spectrum as far as Prop 65 and all the different propositions that label things like if it comes out of the ground, it could possibly be cancer causing, right? If you get some dirt out of the ground, it could cause cancer, so be careful what you're ingesting. But they do classify 10 different chemicals that are known as carcinogens. Diacetyl is one of them, and that's what gives some of these Juuls or their e-cigs the buttery flavor. Like they literally can create, if you know anything about flavor chemists, if you've ever played the game, I don't know, it's like with Jelly Bellies where you can eat them. One tastes like a skunk, one tastes like vomit, one tastes like all these other, like they're really nasty ones and you don't know which one you're going to get, okay? So you pull it out and you eat it and either it's a surprise like good or a surprise bad. But they can create any flavor on the planet in a chemistry lab. So just because it tastes good doesn't mean it's good for you because you don't know what that flavor has been synthesized from. So diacetyl, whether it's buttery flavor or things like that, it's really important to understand you're inhaling acetaldehyde and formaldehyde. And if you remember Hurricane Katrina back in the day when FEMA, the Emergency Management Association from the government, brought in all those trailers that are just loaded with all this off-gassing of formaldehyde, and all the people that were being housed in there because they lost their homes were getting sick because of formaldehyde. It's not good for you. And so to directly and intentionally inhale that into your lungs, you're basically might as well take out a gun and shoot yourself in the foot, or maybe pop in the lung, whatever you want to do. But it's kind of like the same thing. Some of the reasons why you want to appreciate why you might be seeking out either a cigarette or nicotine or some other toxic chemical like that. As you know, we focus a lot on the neuro-emotional connection, the neurological underpinnings of why things happen in your body or why you might crave a food or a substance or a toxin, things like that. But formaldehyde specifically is not able to please or not able to oppose. So people who Juul or e-cig, they can have those feelings of not able to oppose someone or the need to oppose someone. That can be calmed down by inhaling this. Okay, cigarettes in general, nicotine, if you will, it's unable to please. So if you're constantly living in a world where you feel you're unable to please everybody else, you might have a higher likelihood of smoking cigarettes or doing Juul or e-cigs like that. So just keep that in mind. Feeling unable to perform. So if someone feels like, I just don't feel like I'm performing, Juuls or cigarettes and things like that, think of it as like a modern day pacifier. Kids, they have a nookie or a soothie or whatever they call it. Adults typically take a cigarette or an e-cig or a Juul or something like that, and then they're puffing on that because it calms them down. Calms down their feeling like they're unable to perform, or it fills them up with something because they're lacking something. And that goes for food as well. I mean, whether it's e-cig, Juul, cigarette, alcohol, food, these are all things that fill us up when we're feeling like we're lacking something. So that helps you understand the reasoning behind why you might lean towards something like this or some other addictive behavior, because there's just something in your life that's missing. Maybe it's a person was lost, maybe it's a relationship that's not there, maybe it's some troublesome time you had in your life. It just depends. We all have wounds in our lives. Some of us have more adverse childhood experiences than others, but no one can, unless you're born with a silver spoon on an island somewhere where everything's, sunshine and roses, which, very few people on this planet experience that, you're going to have some challenges. It makes you who you are, but it doesn't have to be stressful and throw you off course. Some things you can do for yourself as far as avoiding this kind of stuff. Exercise is the most powerful drug on the planet. It is its own pharmacopoeia, if you will. By exercising, you're going to stimulate a lot of the healthy things, and you're not going to need that. Walking can be sufficient, but understanding that a little more rigorous is probably going to get you a little more boost in the system. So high-intensity and interval training, 2-3 times a week. Doing some resistance training is going to help. Eating a proper diet, prayer and meditation, things like that. Sleep, of course, is critical, helping your brain detoxify, brain squeeze out all those chemicals. Healthy emotional outlets. Some people use what's called EFT, emotional freedom technique, where they do the tapping. There's a specific sequence for different things. You're tapping on different acupuncture points is really what it's about. And so ultimately, if you have some emotion you don't like, what I recommend people do is create motion. So if you have an emotion you don't like, create motion. So create a physiological change in your body, which is going to disrupt the chemical messages in your brain, which are causing you to feel that angst or that want or whatever it is. So, drop and give yourself 25 push-ups, do 10 burpees, take 10 deep breaths, walk really fast, jump up and down, shake your fist, whatever it is. Just disrupt that chemical signal, because most of everything that happens in your body is a chemical signal. And if your brain is not able to calm that stuff down, it becomes overactive. So those are just some good ideas as far as what you can do. If you have any doubts about what to do in order to overcome this type of thing, we work with people all the time. Usually there's some type of self-loathing, self-devaluation complex that people are, I'm just a terrible person. If you use a Juul or an e-cig and stuff like that, it's a cycle, right? And we need to help you. Well, we can help you, I should say. We don't need to. If you don't want to, we don't need to help you. But if you want to be helped, if you need help, if you want help, we can help you break that cycle, because it's a brain thing. It's not. It feels like a physiological need, like I have this craving, I have this urge, I can't not have it. There's a reason behind that, and it's a brain neurotransmitter, and it's a signal between the body and the brain, and there's something missing there, and we can help you uncover that and identify it. So just let us know how we can help you or your loved ones, because people do not have to suffer unnecessarily. And this is definitely one way that people who are soulless, in my opinion, that can sleep at night knowing that they're destroying the lives of people by giving them toxic chemicals to inhale and making a profit off of it is unconscionable. If it makes sense, it's just how do they sleep with a good conscience? Who knows? That's not what we do around here. We help you feel better. We help you not need this kind of stuff. So that's what we specialize in. If we can help, we're happy to do so. So thumbs up, thumbs down, ideas for future topics. Let us know what you'd like us to speak about, provide information, enlighten you, enrich your life, and help you and your friends and family. Don't forget about Paul next Friday, the event 1 to 6 on the 20th of September 2019. And then, of course, we have the event all week long, all kinds of fun stuff. You've probably received the emails already, but look out for your emails. Anissa's great at this, you know. Do you like to win is one of her question marks. I don't know anybody who doesn't. So these are all opportunities for you to take part in our activities. You know, come in, join, enjoy some food, meet people, fellow participants, and share your story about how you've overcome your struggles and things like that. And we're excited to see you. We're excited to share your journey, help guide you on your journey, and help you end your unnecessary suffering. Okay? So we look forward to seeing you next week for the Wednesday Wellness Minutes. For now, we're going to sign off. Take care.